After a few days, Shantanu went out to see his kingdom. There he saw a woman catching fish, and he liked her very much. He approached her and asked, "Will you marry me and be my queen?" The woman replied, "Please ask my father about that," and went away. The woman who caught fish was called Satyavati. Long after Ganga left, Shantanu developed a liking for Satyavati, the fisherwoman. He approached Satyavati's father and asked, "Please give me your daughter in marriage." Satyavati's father replied, "In any case, your son Devavrata will be king of the kingdom. My daughter's children will not become kings, and they will have to live all their lives as servants to your son. Therefore, I am not going to give my daughter to you." From that day on, Shantanu began to suffer. Lost in her thoughts, he neglected his kingdom, his people, and even his son. Unable to see his father's pain, Devavrata learned what had happened. Devavrata, who valued his father's happiness above all else, decided that he must somehow ensure that his father could marry Satyavati. He went to Satyavati's father and said, "The only reason you won't marry my father to Satyavati is because you think I'll become king. I promise you, I will never become king, I will never ascend the throne, and your daughter's children will become kings." Even then, Satyavati's father refused, saying, "I still do not consent to this marriage. Even if you renounce the throne now, will your children also renounce it? Who would refuse power? Later, your children and my grandchildren might end up fighting and killing each other. Therefore, I do not consent to this marriage." Not knowing what else to do, Devavrata made a decision and took a vow. That vow shook the earth and the sky. This vow changed the future of India. That vow made the gods come down to earth. That vow changed history into the magnificent epic known as the Mahabharata. That vow led to the Kurukshetra war. And that vow was, "I, Devavrata, in the presence of the three worlds, take the Bhishma Pratigya and vow that I will remain celibate for life and will never father children." By taking the Bhishma Pratigya, Devavrata became known as Bhishma, and from now on, we will refer to Devavrata as Bhishma. The Mahabharata didn't just happen because of one or two events. At the end of the Dwapara Yuga, many factors came together and led to the Kurukshetra war. When you hear this story, you can't help but wonder how such a complex story could have unfolded thousands of years ago. Satyavati and Shantanu were married. In his happiness, Shantanu called Bhishma and said, "My son, you have sacrificed your life for the happiness of your father. It will never be enough, no matter what I do for you. However, I grant you a boon. Death will never come to you. You will die only when you want to." Thus, Bhishma became immortal, with death only happening when he desired it. Meanwhile, Satyavati became pregnant and gave birth to two sons, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. These two sons were born to Shantanu and Satyavati, making them Bhishma's half-brothers. Chitrangada died in battle with another Gandharva of the same name. This left Vichitravirya as the last heir to the throne, but by then Vichitravirya's health had deteriorated. Despite his condition, he was crowned king. Bhishma began to worry. If Vichitravirya died of his illness, there would be no heir to the kingdom. So Bhishma decided that Vichitravirya must be married immediately. It was then learned that the king of Kashi had announced a Swayamvara for his daughters. Bhishma realized that if he sent Vichitravirya to the Swayamvara, he might lose due to his poor health. So Bhishma decided that there was only one way. He entered the Swayamvara and after fighting off all the suitors, kidnapped the three daughters of the king of Kashi and brought them back. The three daughters were named Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. But Amba had already fallen in love with a king called Salva from another kingdom. When she told Bhishma about her love, he said, "Separating partners is not something I do. I grant you your freedom. Go and marry the man you love and live happily." He sent them away. The other two, Ambika and Ambalika, were taken to his kingdom and married to Vichitravirya. Friends, would you believe it if I told you that reading just one incredibly interesting story could make someone forget all about their life? Would you believe it if I told you that just reading this story to your children would teach them all the values they need in life? Would you believe me if I told you that the solution to every problem you face now or in the future could be found in just one story? Yes, it's possible. Only in the greatest epic ever told in the history of mankind, the Mahabharata. This story is 100 times bigger than any blockbuster film. It's a challenge. The complete story of the Mahabharata, as written by Vikram Aditya, is available in two parts, both in book and ebook format on Amazon and 43 other online stores. This book is available in 54 languages worldwide. The links are in the description below this video, so order now, because it's not just a book, it's a library for your life. With great happiness, believing that her dream was about to come true, that her love had triumphed, and that nothing but joy awaited her for the rest of her life, Amba went to Salva with 1,000 hopes. She said, "Now there is no obstacle for us. Let's get married and make our love triumphant." But Salva replied, "Forgive me, Amba, but I cannot marry you. After someone has defeated your kingdom and taken you away, I cannot allow you to live here as my queen or empress of this kingdom. Neither my ministers nor my people would accept it. The moment Bhishma took you away, you became his. You will never be mine. Forgive me," he said, rejecting Amba. Amba's voice fell silent. It was as if her eyes couldn't decide whether to shed tears or a flood. Her hands trembled. She stood like a statue, looking at Salva. But he didn't even turn to look at her. With all her hopes shattered into 1,000 pieces and not knowing what to do, she turned and went to Bhishma. Amba approached Bhishma and said, "The moment you conquered my kingdom and took me by the hand and carried me away from Swayamvara, I became yours. Salva has now rejected me. I am now yours. Marry me," she begged Bhishma. But Bhishma replied, "Vichitravirya is already married to Ambika and Ambalika. Because of his poor health, I cannot give you in marriage. Also because of the vows I have taken, I cannot marry you or have children. Please forgive me," said Bhishma. Amba was heartbroken. "You have attacked my kingdom, taken me away, separated me from my loved ones, and made the man I love reject me. I thought you would accept me, but now you too have rejected me. You have wronged a woman. How can your kingdom find happiness and peace? You boast of your Bhishma Pratigya, but now I take a vow myself. I will be the cause of your death, no matter how long it takes," she declared, and left for the forests. Although Bhishma was saddened, he remained silent, bound by his duties and his vow. Meanwhile, Vichitravirya's health deteriorated and he died. Satyavati, Ambika, and Ambalika were widowed. Now there was no king, no heir to the throne, and the kingdom fell into chaos. The ministers were in a state of turmoil, each thinking, "I should be the next king." Left unchecked, the kingdom would collapse within days. Neighboring kings might take advantage of the situation and attack. There was only one way to resolve the situation: a heir must be born. Knowing what to do, Satyavati summoned Bhishma and said, "Bhishma, you know the present situation. There is only one way to save the kingdom. You must unite with your brothers' wives, Ambika and Ambalika, and provide the kingdom with heirs." Bhishma replied, "I am bound by my vows. I cannot do as you ask." Satyavati replied, "You took that vow for my sake, didn't you? Now I am the one asking you to break it." Bhishma replied, "Even if I took the oath for you, I took it to ensure that I would never break my word. If I break the oath I have taken, what value would I have left? This is what I consider to be my dharma." He refused to do as Satyavati asked. Satyavati then said, "All right, there is only one way left. The time has come for me to reveal a secret that I have long kept hidden in my heart. Before I married your father, I fell in love with a man called Parashura. A son was born out of this love. Since he was born out of wedlock, Parashura took him away to bring him up. This son is now grown up and his name is Vyasa. Go and bring him here," she told Bhishma. The story written by this Vyasa is this very Mahabharata. There is no greater poet in our world than Vyasa, as there is no tale as great as the Mahabharata in any language or nation. You don't have to ask me how I can say this with such certainty. I am familiar with all the mythologies of the world, and I will tell you about them in the future. No mythology comes close to the Mahabharata. That is how great the story is. It's a challenge. Bhishma met Vyasa, and when they saw each other for the first time, they felt great joy. When two great personalities meet, there is always a visible emotion in their eye contact that they have met someone extraordinary. Bhishma took Vyasa to his kingdom. Satyavati was overjoyed to see Vyasa. She explained the whole situation to him and asked him to unite with Ambika and Ambalika to produce heirs. Vyasa replied, "Mother, I have taken a vow of lifelong celibacy. However, it is dharma to listen to one's mother, so I will do as you ask." Here, if you notice, Bhishma believed that sticking to the vow he had taken was dharma, while Vyasa believed that obeying his mother was dharma, even if it meant breaking his vow. So which is dharma? This shows that each person has their own truth based on their own point of view. We often judge people by their circumstances, but that is a mistake. We must realize that good and evil are influenced by situations, but are never inherent in people. Friends, let's meet again at the same time next Saturday. Don't forget to order the Mahabharata book I wrote. The links are in the description below this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so now. Until then, take care. Bye.